Hello, Wankers.
What's up, Vankahs?
Greetings, Vankahs. Guenther, Austria, your neighbor in Europe and the first Grand Prix you ever went to as a young lad. How did the 2026 Austria Grand Prix compare to all the others you've seen?
How it compared to all the others? Pretty good, huh? There's always something happening. Obviously, the prediction that Ferrari is back have not been, as I said, we need to be careful. Just wait a little bit. Otherwise, it was very interesting. Always some drama. Guess who is involved always in the drama? Association or a federation,
Yes.
Yes.
I think they do it on purpose to be noted, but I don't think they do it on purpose. I think it's just them, they cannot avoid it. But anyway, we come to that for sure afterwards. You will have some questions for me about that one. Otherwise, a very interesting race, very interesting outcome. When we all said there will be domination and everybody's worried about the domination, Mercedes is good, but they're not dominating. Every race could be the last race they're dominating, as it looks in the moment. So I hope they keep it like this.
Yeah. Thank God Mercedes doesn't have any engine upgrades coming, so that's good.
Yeah, but the engine upgrades of Ferrari were not this fantastic as we all thought. Huh? Did you see any difference,
It's because of the altitude, Guenther. It's because of the altitude. The turbo, the turbo couldn't do its thing because of the altitude. When we get back to sea level, it's going to be a whole other ball game. You watch and you wait. But before we get into that, we got so much to discuss on this episode of Vankah Hours. As part of the Vox Media Network, we're talking Austria, we're talking George Russell, we're talking the FIA, we're talking Lewis, and we're talking Max Verstappen has entered the chat. But before we get to that, Guenther, have you watched my movie yet?
No, that's the most important thing in your life, that I watch your movie.
What the hell? Cue the music.
No Fox smash, my dog. I'm gonna fucking Steiner and I'm back for more. No Fox smash, my dog. I've got the fucking Steiner and it's time for
We're back. Finnegan's Foursome. Wherever you stream your movies, go rent it, download it, watch it before Guenther has. I'm a lead of a movie, okay, people? You should need to watch it.
Yeah. Now I've got two things. Subscribe to the podcast and watch that fucking movie, guys.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Enough about me. Let's talk about Austria. Let's talk
about me. Yeah.
Let's talk about this race. Guenther, we need your Rockstar and Wanker for the Austrian Grand Prix. Guenther, who was your Rockstar for Austria?
George. Yeah. He was the only smart enough to get pole under a yellow. Call him stupid, And then in the race, what did he do wrong? Nothing. So, I think he's the Rockstar. Who would you suggest? I think it's pretty clear.
Okay, this is your segment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
Matt,
so
give him the zag. Give him the zag. What are people saying? What's the narrative that's out there?
I think the zag is he won on he got pole on a technicality. He didn't exactly dominate the race. he had Max.
But we don't want that. We don't want that he dominates. Otherwise it's too easy,
But he's Rockstar, is he a Rockstar? If he's winning by the skin of his
teeth,
beautiful teeth.
Yeah, against Max, which is trying to win a race this year, You need to be. That for is a Rockstar. He won against Max, and he got the pole when the other ones didn't realize what they were doing, So he was smart enough to say, I'm keep on the gas here, Oh, I lift a little bit, but not too much,
Max, okay, who? I don't see Max. Where? He's not on the wall.
Well, this is interesting. So this is the real kind of controversy of this race and this weekend was the qualifying single wave yellow into the double wave yellow. Lots of people saying that what George did was actually really not above board. It didn't follow the rules to the letter of the law. That he wasn't slowing down enough he didn't significantly lift. He didn't lift in a way that was, efficient enough given the situation. And then there's on the other side of it, there's why the hell was that a single wave yellow and not immediately a double wave yellow or a red flag given that it was at the end of the session? What are your thoughts on that whole situation with qualifying and the crash?
I think, in my opinion, it should have been a double yellow, but it wasn't. They decided, and George didn't decide that. Somebody else decided, and therefore it was a single wave yellow. Should have been a double yellow. I think so, but they didn't. And then, obviously, they didn't straight away. They did it afterwards, So they realized. So, again, and nothing changed from the single yellow to a double yellow. So guess what? It should have been a double yellow from the start. But they made the mistake and made a single yellow in the beginning. And George he lifted enough because it's all on data. He was in that sector slower than before, and that's the only thing you need to do. He was smart enough, and maybe, I don't know if he was smart enough or lucky. We will never know that. If he just said, I try it, I have nothing to lose here, I try it. And because, how much was it? How many hundreds he was within? I think it's very difficult to manage such a small amount of time. He just did what he thought was right, and it worked out for him. Good for him, But he reacted, and he didn't live completely because he saw it's a yellow. I just need to be slower than before. I'm fine. That's what he did. So for me, he did the right thing.
Well, he was 0.5 up, so I think he knew if that he had time to spare if he lifted a little bit.
Exactly, he had something in his pack. Yeah.
All right, so I have two questions. Okay, before like when I recorded my podcast with Brian, I was like, he's a competitor. He saw a yellow wave, a single wave, so he only lifted a little bit. He's a competitor. You can't put the onus on safety with these guys. The onus on being safe needs to be with the FIA. But then I saw something amazing. I've been watching the World Cup, and I think a Moroccan. It was a great game between Morocco and the Netherlands, and a Moroccan went down. And the Netherlands had the ball, and they were like, I've seen this happen. It was like the commentators goes, oh well, the Netherlands have to kick it out now because they can't, take advantage of a stricken player. They have to allow for their competitor to be seen to, and then the Netherlands kicked the ball out. And then they're like, yeah, they'll let him be seen to, and then Morocco will give. It's like a whole it's an unwritten rule, right? When somebody's down, the opposing team doesn't take advantage of it because they understand that they should allow the opposition, not when they're a man down, don't take advantage of it, right? Oh my God, we have a power play like in hockey. Let the guy, because he's hurt, be seen to. And don't stop and then the other team is going to nicely give the ball back. And then I was like, oh my God, there's actually some sports have gentlemen's agreements. What do you think about how maybe there should be some kind of unwritten rule like that when especially in sports like F1 where people can fucking die. When you see a guy in the wall, you should fucking really slow down because if it's like an oil patch or God forbid something in the road that could cause somebody to go off, like if he goes off in the same spot, then guess what? He's joining Max right there.
What have you been smoking?
I've been smoking the World Cup, my friend, and global friendship. Yeah. Because F1, why can't F1 be a sport about global friendship too?
He's been smoking that diplomacy pack, Guenther.
Yeah, something happened to him, You wanted everybody else is nice, but you're never nice to me. So you know what? It's like, where is that for? It's racing.
Well, there's also something called mutually assured destruction, which is something that we have. That's our pact.
That's right.
Whoa. your theory, I don't know where that is coming from, but it's like, yeah, I know in football it's like this, but the guy was hurt, you know. If Max
is hurt, the stakes are higher. If you don't proceed carefully, you can have a real problem. If you are flippant about a car that's stricken somewhere or a yellow, that could lead to a huge catastrophe. And what's interesting is the ref doesn't stop it. In soccer, the ref just goes, I'm not stopping it. It's up to you guys. How do you guys want to proceed?
Yeah, but the race director told it's yellow, be careful. I think you have to go to the next drivers' meeting and come up with your, what you call it, peace theories, you know, or love and peace theories,
well, that brings me to my next question. Okay, so you obviously think George Russell did nothing wrong.
No.
Okay, so but you do think it was a double yellow, and it was probably deployed too slowly, right?
Yeah, but don't blame George for that. I mean,
of course. I'm moving on from George. I'm now saying, was the FIA too slow, or was the race director too slow?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nobody else. I mean, the race director, he's calling the yellows, double yellow, red, safety car, whatever. You know, that's his responsibility. He obviously, and you know, he has control of that one. He first thought, oh, this is just a yellow, and then maybe he realized maybe it's a double yellow, but. Everybody says normally when a car is stuck in a wall, you put out a double yellow, because if the next car goes out, it could be not good, the consequences. So he was reacting too slow, and why he was doing that, no idea. That's a question to him. But I mean, fair play to this race director. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, correct? I would not say that. And this one, I think the short term, and if George wouldn't have taken pole position on that lap, nobody would even debate it. Think about that one. Nobody would care. It was a yellow. Everybody was careful. It's just like, because under these circumstances, he went to pole. Now, everybody, including us, has got an opinion about it. I've got an opinion about the single yellow, double yellow, the race director, whatever. You know, George not being love and peace here, you know, and all these good things. So, yeah.
That's right. So you see what George did, you know, as he's planned by the letter of the law, and he did what he needed to do, and
absolutely,
and he took advantage of the situation, and the gentleman's agreement. I don't know. I mean, there's no
gentleman's agreement. It was a yellow flag. If a yellow flag, why would you assume that there is a double yellow? I mean,
what was the gentleman's agreement? What was the gentleman's agreement in Spain last year when Max drove intentionally into George? Was there a gentleman's agreement then? I'm not really sure if that was if he was thinking about safety in that moment. Okay, that's your Rockstar.
Yeah.
For Austria, Guenther, who was your wanker for the Austrian Grand Prix?
I think that one is well deserved by Cadillac. Yeah. I mean, all this, you know, the trumpets, we bring an upgrade. I mean, everything is upgraded, you know. Yeah. And then they are slow, and after 4 laps, they are both gone because the brakes are overheating. And actually, Bottas lost the brake completely, you know, which is dangerous as well, you know.
Okay, I have a question. What was the last team that was a new entry onto the grid? I can't remember what was the last team that was a brand new entry onto the grid. What were they?
Them.
Were they from America too? Even I think they might have even been from America.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my question: Why are they so much worse than you guys were? And there's a cost cap. Like, you guys could finish. You guys got it. You guys were. Didn't you guys finish in points on debut?
Yeah. The first
and
races.
You guys could, and even when you guys came in last, you guys finished races. Like, yeah, so like.
But we had no money, or we had not no money. We had the smallest budget, to be fair.
Right,
you know,
and Mercedes and Red Bull and Ferrari, they had unlimited budget. So
absolutely,
I don't understand what's happening. What's different about the sport now? Because you guys were in the exact same situation, only worse.
Right.
Harder.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened. I mean, the sport for sure has not become easier to go there, but it wasn't easy then. You know, as you say, actually in theory and practicality should have been worse because the big teams had no budget cap. So some teams spent 4 or 5 times the amount we had to spend. I don't know. It's like, are they focusing on the wrong stuff? And they are Cadillac, they are General Motors, not a small company, so they should have all the support and all that stuff.
More resources than Haas machine tools.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
here's my question, Guenther. Are the cars more complicated now than they were when you came in? Is that maybe what's going on? I mean, it seemed like it was still pretty complex when Haas joined.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was pretty complex then. It is complex now. And they are doing something similar like we did. I mean, they are buying the gearbox from Ferrari. I think they're buying some of the suspension from Ferrari, similar to us. If you do everything yourself, it could be that it is more difficult, but they are doing a similar business model. And for me, it's actually the how far they are off. In the race normally, if they are 2 laps down, it's like going to the podium for them. So it's weird that I don't understand it.
Well, here was also my question for just this week specifically. Listen, they've been off the pace all year. We know that, but for Austria, they get out there and then you're right. In 2 laps in. I think Bottas has to come in. 4 laps in, Perez is in. The car can't even function in a racing environment. My question is this: what the hell are they doing in practice? What is practice for? That when they get into the game, they both pull a hamstring the second the game starts. It's like, why? What were they doing in practice that these brakes? They didn't know the brakes were going to overheat. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I said it's very weird because you cannot change the car from qualifying to the race. So they must have closed the cooling off in qualifying, maybe to have an advantage. But then in the race, because before qualifying, you can still make changes on the car. But in qualifying, but again, they did 2 laps, as you say. It's like, I mean, in qualifying, you do 2 laps, and they must have seen that there is some overheating going on. But you close the brakes off the cooling because aerodynamically you get better, So, but I don't really know.
So they tried to get an extra edge, they got an extra edge so they can out-qualify Aston Martin. But
yeah,
but then
finish the race.
Fucking not finish the race. That just seems dumb. You should
barely do any
your
running.
Whole goal was to finish the race.
Yeah, anyway. At least you learn something anyway.
It seems like cooling has really reared its head as one of the big issues this year. That with the batteries, the Mercedes cars. We had another Mercedes car with Williams pulling over to the side of the road, and then we saw them talking to Lewis about cooling down the car. It seems like cooling has really become one of the key.
The porpoising.
Yeah, it's the new porpoising. It's one of the key factors. Whoever can do it effectively without losing too much downforce seems to have the edge.
Yeah, correct. I mean, everybody tries to cool as little as possible to get downforce, to get load on the car. And sometimes I think people push it too far.
Okay, let's talk about someone who's pretty cool. Max Verstappen. Speaking of cooling, let's talk about Max.
Max is back.
Is he?
Well, you shrugging. You just said it.
I don't know yet. I mean, we thought Luis was back in Barcelona. Was he? Yeah, in Barcelona.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. I'm not throwing the Lewis Hamilton baby out with the Ferrari bathwater. I'm not sure about that yet. Obviously, it was not the greatest showing from them. So one race does not. What do you always say, Guenther? A swallow or whatever.
One swallow doesn't make a summer. One swallow doesn't make a summer.
Swallow doesn't make a summer. But we've seen that, there's all this talk about the Red Bull engine. The Red Bull engine, it's the best engine. They're actually the belle of the ball, and everyone else is trying to catch up to them. Was what we saw in Austria an example of maybe where Red Bull has always been now that they've shed the weight that they did coming into Austria?
I mean, they showed strong in Austria, but they had upgrades, and and if you give Max a decent car, Max is always there. So, I think
one swallow doesn't make a summer, but if that swallow is Max Verstappen, then you have to take the summer. You have to take that summer very seriously. I said I saw they were bringing upgrades to Austria. It was their home race. You fucking said that doesn't make a difference.
Correct.
It doesn't matter.
I know that was coming up, that you don't forget.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Got any? You want to say you're sorry for not watching my
Anything you wanna
movie
say to
and
me?
for
Okay. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
There's no sorry. There's no apologies. There is no,
And
you know.
I also want to say that last year I said that you can't count Max out, and you guys went, no, it's over. He is down by fewer points with more races to go than he was last year. He is not out of this shit, okay? He doesn't have a second driver to compete with, and he's the most talented driver on the grid. They've shed the weight. I think what's interesting is the Mercedes guys are unreliable. They're fighting with each other. I think clearly, I mean, I want to talk about this later, but Ferrari doesn't seem to have their ducks in a row with strategy. I mean, Charles was fighting with Lewis on his in lap. I mean, they're a mess. I think he's got a real chance
Against Ferrari or against Mercedes?
but everybody, all comers.
Everyone.
Well, because who are his competitors? It's Mercedes and Ferrari. I think he's got a great chance against both of them.
I think he's got a chance against Ferrari, but I don't think he's got a chance against Mercedes.
We'll see. That's what you said. That's what you said. That's what you said. That's what you said last year about McLaren, and he was one dumb crash with George away from winning the whole damn thing.
Yeah, but it was one too many.
Yeah.
So he didn't
Well,
win.
it was also he did have some help from McLaren really, falling
From the
apart
papaya
towards the end
rules,
of
the
the papaya rules and
helped him,
Qatar and Vegas. I mean,
The papaya was baked into the pie. That was something that was going on the whole season that you have to account for.
But it's not happened at Mercedes in the moment. I don't think Mercedes will come up with a silver rule.
No. Toto will throw George under the bus at the first sign of trouble. I agree with you. That is true.
After this comment, we have no chance that Toto comes onto the podcast. I'm sorry.
No, Guenther, you're heading to Silverstone tomorrow. That's another person you need to talk to about coming on the pod is Toto. Beyond the season talks, let's just talk about this race specifically. Two questions. One, if he had not crashed, Red Bull took that blame for that crash. Do you think he's getting pole? Is first question. And two, obvious, I think he could win from pole. But if it seemed like Red Bull did a bit of a strategy blunder where they left him out a bit too long. Seemed like they had the medium tires waiting in the wings, and they wanted to leave him out long enough in order to really use those, and they waited too long. They wound up putting him on the hards, and he lost a ton of time in that process. Do you think A, he would have gotten pole had he not crashed, and B, he could have won that race had Red Bull been a little bit more on it with their strategy?
No to the first one, because if he wouldn't have crashed, George was a lot faster. If he wouldn't have crashed, the best he could do would have been third, because Kimi would have been faster as well, So he did himself a favor with crashing, because he left at least Kimi behind. In the race, with strategy, it's always difficult or somehow easy to say afterwards if and would, but it wasn't this part, the Red Bull strategy. They were fighting for it, and obviously the reaction from Mercedes is based on the strategy of what they are doing as well. So they maybe would have done something different. There was not like a blunder in the pit lane that it took them 6 seconds to change the tires or something like this. So no, I don't think he could have won. I don't think he could have beaten the Mercedes, and if he wouldn't have crashed in the qualifying, he would have been starting behind the two Mercedes, not only one.
Right.
Amen.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point,
Guenther. You know what you're talking about? Do you?
I don't know. You tell me.
You're leading us all.
Cadillac should hire you.
No.
Cadillac should hire you.
No. They're good without me.
No, they're not. They would be so happy with Haas results right now. They would be.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They would be so happy.
But if they hire me, they have to hire you two as well.
That's right.
I'm not
That's right.
going there without you guys.
We're part of the entourage.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
That's right.
I don't know I know what you will be doing. You would be annoying the whole paddock, telling them what they have to do and what not,
No,
And,
I'm press officer. I handle all the press conferences.
Nobody will come anymore. But anyway,
And what would I be doing, Guenther?
I think you would be the actor in all the social media spots.
I would run the socials.
No, not
I'd
run.
run-
You would be the
I would
content.
I'd be the star.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you would
the
be the
star.
star, like you're in your movie, which everybody should watch.
Yeah,
So,
that's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
beautiful. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Ferrari. Obviously, there was a ton of hype. Lewis wins in Barcelona. They're bringing a duo improved engine to Austria, but that proved to not be particularly effective. What the streets are saying, was what I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, was that they got kind of screwed with altitude. It seemed like altitude was affecting a lot of people in this race, both with heat, overheating, and their turbos most specifically, which is one of the big Ferrari advantages, was being affected negatively by the altitude. What are your thoughts on what we saw from Ferrari? Is this a singular race that wasn't fitting them, or does the Barcelona as the the standard, or this is the track where everyone goes because it's got a little bit of everything? Is this a blip on the radar screen, or is this a sign of more things to come for Ferrari?
I would say Barcelona was very good for them. This was bad for them. The truth is in the middle. I think they are still of the Mercedes, but they are better than they showed in Austria. It's something new. They had to manage it. I mean, the altitude is there for everyone. Obviously, yeah, you can affect it, but it's not like that you lose 10 horsepower to the other people. It's a turbo engine, That thing spins and makes pressure. It's not like an aspirated engine where you lose a lot of power going high. So I think that is something. That's obviously the cooling is more difficult because altitude you cool less because the air is thinner. So, but I think they particularly showed not so good also the strategy then between the two guys, all the back and forward. So it was an unhappy race for Ferrari. I think they are better than they showed in Austria, but can they be consistent like they showed in Barcelona? I do not think that.
Right. And do you think that so they had trouble with their tires, but they were also saying the speculation is also that their engine is down. Are those two things kind of related?
No. I mean,
So it's just like two separate problems?
Two separate problems. The problems with the engine has nothing to do with the tires. I think the tire is just like sometimes you get them perfect in the window and you know exactly what you do with them, and sometimes you're just out of the window. You overheat them or you cannot get them to work. I think it was more the overheating there that they struggled a little bit. So that has nothing to do. You cannot combine the two problems. They're two separate problems they had, if they had them.
Interesting.
Well, it's also this is such an engine dominant track, right? These big long straights. There's not that many turns. You're going up a hill, and the air is thin. So, what do you kind of make of the full picture? You take a little bird's eye view. Is this all just sound and fury signifying that Mercedes is just still the best car?
Yes. Very short answer. Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it, Guenther.
I continue to say it since day one this year, or not day one in 2026. Mercedes is the best car. There will be blips and blops and, but you cannot take it away from them. In the moment, they're the best. As much as you guys don't like it.
So we're just trying to rationalize our way into an inter-team title fight. Is that what we're doing right now?
Yes, but I think the other ones like Ferrari. Luis won a race, but in the end, if you take the big picture, the macro view, Mercedes is the best, and the other ones can compete, but it's blips, it's blips they can make. They cannot make spread it all over. Blobs.
Okay, then let's talk about Mercedes. Let's all. I know everyone wants it to be Lewis and everyone wants it to be Max, but unfortunately, what we might have is that it's going to just ultimately be one of these Mercedes boys. Obviously, Kimi went on his run, winning 5 races in a row. Now George has answered. What do you make of that title battle and that struggle there? Where do you think the power lies at this point? Is it still with Kimi? Like, if you had to give a percentage of who's, in the driver's seat of this championship, who owns what percentage?
60-40 for Kimi.
That's tighter than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think it's tight because George is not going to give up on it, George will be fighting for it. And in Barcelona, in Monte Carlo, he was unlucky. So I would not count him out, but, Kimi is doing a good job. And obviously Kimi was not as brutal when he saw the single yellow as George, or not as, I tell you one thing, Kimi next time he sees a single yellow, he will not lift, he will look like George. How much can I get away with it, and do that one?
Well, I guess the question is, I think the consensus has been, or near consensus has been, that Kimi's had more pace this year.
Yes, in outright speed, Kimi seems to be having the edge on George.
But he's got more. But he makes more mistakes. He went off a couple of times in the first lap. If he had finished that race, if he had finished Spain, he would have got track limits. He's younger. He's more. He's not the wily. He doesn't do the wily veteran move of only lifting a little bit in a single. Like, that's all age and experience. I guess the question is, if that stays true throughout the season, how much do you value George's age and experience against Kimi's pace? Do you think those cancel each other out, or do you still take the younger guy with the pace?
In the end, pace will normally should be predominant, and Kimi is learning every race, and more races there are, better prepared he is. We don't have to forget that one as well. So by the end of the year, he will have a lot more experience, because if you think he's only in his second season, so every race he makes a lot of experience. So and he seems to be pretty smart. How he does things. So he will learn a lot, and therefore I think therefore I give it a 60-40.
What this feels like it spells out is this is, if it's ever going to happen for George, this is the year. Because if the one thing Kimi kind of doesn't have is that experience, and the one thing that he doesn't have is the kind of just, the 10,000 hours. I see the yellow flag, I lift just enough, just knowing where all the cracks are, which George has now been in this game long enough to know that, by next year, how much better will Kimi be? In 2 years, how much better will Kimi be? And if he's already got the pace over George right now, then this is really the one time where George, in theory, will be able to nab a championship.
I fully agree with that one. For George, this is the opportunity, because I don't think if they stay together as teammates, he will have a lot more opportunities, because Kimi he's fast, he will have more experience, and he will win a few championships if he has got the machine.
So far, where do you put? Is Kimi slowly? Is he moving into? If he wins this, if he starts to take control of this, are we moving him slowly creeping towards the next Verstappen, the next Hamilton, to sort of take over this quickly, or is it too early to anoint him as the next?
I think he can do. But obviously he needs to have the car to do that one, because Lewis was in the best car in that period. Max was in the best car in the period when they won, because you need to be in the best car as well. So if Mercedes can keep if Mercedes can be the fastest car, yes, it could be that Kimi is the next multiple world champion, and moving into one of these superstars.
Yeah.
Before we get into gas or brake, how do you think that that's possible? Like, what's the likelihood that Mercedes continues to be? Because currently you say he needs to be in the best car. Well, currently he is. Do you think that in the next couple years it will continue like this? That Mercedes will continue to just be the car to beat?
No, because we can see it already this year. Sometimes Ferrari won a race. There is not this dominance like Lewis had when he was in the Mercedes. Just him or Nico won a race. Nobody else could win a race almost. And this year Lewis could win a race. Max was close to the Mercedes. So I don't think it will be a dominance like we had when Max and Lewis were dominating, So it will be a little bit more difficult, but still they are the best car, but just by a little bit, So that's why I said he needs to be lucky as well, or the Mercedes can keep their bargain up for him to make this multiple championship winner.
Right. Well, and that adds a little level of desperation also for Kimi, because we saw last year, Lando and Oscar going for it, and what we said it a bunch of times. This might be the only chance you get. This might be it.
Yeah.
So you never know in Formula One. If you don't have the car, it might be your only time. So this could be also Kimi's only time. Though I think he's got a lot of potential championships looming in the future. Any other things before we get to gas or brake, gentlemen?
With the cost gap and the wind tunnel and the duo and all these things that's trying to make it more competitive. Are we kind of seeing the end of dynasties?
Level the playing field, yeah.
To level the playing field, are we seeing sort of the end of dynasties?
That was a very good question. I cannot believe they came from you.
Look at the NBA.
No, absolutely. It could easily be, because it was a long time that it was worked on it. Obviously is making it more competitive, that nobody can walk away and dominate, because that's the last thing what any sport needs, a domination. So will we see the end of it? For sure, we will see the end of a domination like Red Bull had with Max, and like Lewis had at the time with Mercedes. Lewis and Nico, not only Lewis. They both had the same car. At Red Bull, it was only Max.
Right. And Michael at
Ferrari, yeah.
Yeah.
And you think that's healthy for the sport? Because this is also a conversation that's happening in the NBA, that we haven't had a repeat NBA champion in, I think, last 8 or 9 seasons. That we haven't had back-to-back winners. Obviously, that's going to change next year when the Knicks win again. But
you're just so obsessed with the Knicks that you have to mention NBA every time when on the podcast.
No, but it's a relevant conversation, because the NBA has made concerted efforts to change, to make sure that teams can't just, okay, now you've got the ball, now you're just going to run away into the distance with it. And there is a conversation about whether that is healthy for the sport, or whether a dynasty actually is good for the sport. Do you have an opinion? Obviously, you said that it's good for the sport that we don't have 6 championships in a row by the same team. Yeah,
I think that is good, but like the Knicks, I would put them, that would be like in Formula One, Cadillac winning a championship, the Knicks winning.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. But I will argue.
Don't
but
make
I will
me walk
say,
off. Don't make me walk off this podcast. Don't make me walk.
But
off.
I will say, I have to say that if every year there's a new WDC, like let's say Lando won. Lando wins this year. Kimi wins next year. Next year it's Leclerc. Next year it's George. Next year it's Lando. It's just, there becomes a random factor, and then you're like, which one of these guys is the best actually?
No, I don't think it will go there. That would be then a balance of performance, like you've got in other motorsport events, or not events, in other motorsport series like WEC, GT cars. You've got a balance of performance. Formula One will not introduce a balance of performance. They will put restriction on that people can be, the more creative people will win. And I think, for example, the 4 best teams, to get near to them for all the other ones which are out there in the moment will be very difficult, because it's like they've got such infrastructures in place. Just to match them as an infrastructure will be difficult. Just to get as much out of the budget cap like they do. The other ones cannot do it because they don't have the infrastructure there to do it.
Yeah, certainly Williams isn't winning a WDC anytime soon. That's for sure. It's still going to be between the top 4 teams.
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely. I fully agree
I think
with
you
that
want
one.
dynasties. I think dynasties are okay. You just want them to fight for it, right?
Yeah,
you want it to be close.
Okay. Yeah, not dominating. Not that you go into the a race and say, did they...
Matt, you don't want 2023. You don't want 2023.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's what you want. All right, let's go on to our favorite segment, Gas or Brake.
From Deanie J. Baby, Lewis's win in Barcelona was a fluke.
Oh, that's a difficult one. No, because I think he can win again if they get it together like in Barcelona. You know, no, I don't think it was a fluke. I mean, they did a good job. If they can repeat what they did, you know, how they did it, they can win again. Because if I say break, then it means they will not win again this year. And I think they will win again this year. Or they've got a chance to win.
I'm going break. Of course it wasn't a fluke. This is all part of Lewis's plan to lull you guys into a false sense of security. No, I'm kidding. I think that Austria was a fluke. I mean, there's a lot of straights. It's a big engine. Their engine isn't great. I think the Austria race didn't flatter them. I think, like Guenther said, they're somewhere in the middle. They're not as good as they were in Barcelona, but they're not as bad as they were here. I think when they get to, you know, a track with more turns, fewer straights, I think they're going to be in better shape.
Yeah, I'm going break as well. I think that it's going to, but what this does show is that for Lewis to really challenge for a championship this year, it will take a Herculean effort, and it will take the entire Ferrari organization to get their ducks in a row, which I don't really see happening. So my hope for the Lewis title chances are down a bit, but do I think he's going to win more races this year? Absolutely.
I think Lewis's win wasn't a fluke. Ferrari's win might have been a fluke.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks again, guys. No chance to get now Fred on that podcast. You know, we are down. We are down Fred and down Toto. Keep on going. Yeah. Keep on going, yeah.
Well, you couldn't get these fucking guys before I started talking shit. So it doesn't make a difference.
So now it's my fault. Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Well, we were being nice, and now, you know, they're not on. So now we're going to say what we really
So maybe they
feel.
come on to defend themselves. That's a good
That's
a
right.
strategy.
That's right.
There we
it's a
go.
strategy. Yeah.
I
we
bit
go.
my tongue for 2 years and they didn't come on anyway.
They didn't want it. Now,
Yeah.
So
all right.
this does, before we move on to the next prompt, this does speak to that. It seems like based off Austria, they're going to really not be great in Monza, right?
Yes.
Because Monza's going to be tough for them. So that's going to be
a bunch of sad Italians.
homecoming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or they do something special because with their duo, they can still have a second upgrade on the engine. You don't know what they are planning.
Which they bring for their home fucking race, which I said about Austria. And you said didn't matter.
But did it work? No. So I was right again. Next bomb.
It worked for Max. It did work for Max.
It worked for
Whatever.
Max.
Next
I
prompt.
okay.
Next prompt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Okay. I got.
Yeah.
Next prompt.
From Manuagu, Max is a legitimate title contender.
Break. I put the break on Lewis, a title contender, because I think the title will be fought out between the two Mercedes guys.
It's like you guys are like gerbils. You have no memory. We were here exactly last year. We were asked the exact same question, and you said the exact same shit. No,
And who
it's
was right?
Oscar.
They didn't win.
He was a legitimate title contender by a single pubic hair he lost. Gas. How many times does it 2024, 2025, how many times 2021, how many times does this guy need to wage guerrilla warfare on a superior team and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat before you show him the respect that he deserves? Gas. He's always a contender. He's the fucking Terminator. He's a Terminator. You're the guy in the movie. You're the fucking guy in the movie that says, yeah, Jason's definitely dead. Let's go check in that, and you're killed immediately. That's you. That's you. You're the first
I'm
guy
in
killed in
between.
the horror movie.
I am lifting and coasting on this. Do I think that Max could pull off miracles? We saw last year that he could. But do I think that Mercedes is going to kind of hand him some, Max needed some help there. And he needed the McLaren guys to really do a lot of work to kind of get him into that position, which they did. I suspect that Toto and Mercedes are not going to be quite as blundersome as McLaren was. So, and I don't know. Everyone's leaving. This Red Bull team, it's the rats are fleeing. I mean, they just lost another big guy. They've already lost so many people. Their ability to turn this car into a rocket ship like they did at the end of last year, I just don't know if I'm seeing that. And even with Max's Herculean efforts, I don't think it's enough.
One rat remains. He's a giant.
The king rat.
The king rat. His Max fucking Verstappen.
Tougher.
It's the only rat you fucking need.
That's right. Next prompt.
Charles is now the number 2 driver at Ferrari.
Break. Because I do not want to believe that,
Okay. I'm going
He looks like, wait a moment. He looks like the number 2 in the moment, but he's not. Put it this way. But
I'm going gas. I don't think anybody knows it yet or wants to acknowledge it. It's like you're at a dinner party and you see the couple and you're like, this is over. They don't know it yet, but it's over. Like the way they're speaking to each other, a little passive aggressive comments, and you're like, they're breaking up. This is doomed. There was a really interesting moment that I wanted to ask you about, Guenther, when Lewis was on a different strategy, and he had changed his tires, I think after the safety car or something. He was on new tires. Charles was on old tires, and they were like it was like they doth protest too much. It's like, why didn't they ask? Like Charles was fighting him on his in-lap. Like, why? Why didn't they just ask him to move over?
no idea. Maybe they asked and we didn't hear it. Sometimes you don't hear all the radio. So I have no idea. And if they didn't ask, I have no idea why they didn't ask.
It's because they're in denial about the truth. They're afraid.
They're afraid, yeah. All right.
Or is there a contract thing sometimes?
No, I think that would be too much detail in a contract to put in because there's too many situations you cannot put in there. So I don't think it's a contract thing. I think it's more like you said before. Just everybody's afraid to say anything. So, you don't want to say, you cannot say, stay, push. No, you say nothing. And you just hope it works out okay. As simple as this,
But that's not even a number 1, number 2 thing. If a guy's on a different strategy, if you're about to box, just let him fucking through. You're not even.
But you just don't want to say anything because you don't want an answer from the other driver and an argument on the radio. So you just let it get done and say, it's not right, but it's just like I'm not gonna steer shit up here.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
I'm going gas, not slight, not half. I'm going full. This is the largest points difference that Charles Leclerc has ever had to a teammate while being in Formula One.
Woo!
He came in, he was in Sauber, he came into Ferrari, he wiped the floor with Vettel. Then he's been with Carlos Sainz where it was tight, but, I think Carlos got him at least one of those years, but it was always, they were trading. And now you bring in Lewis, who everyone writes off. He has this bad year last year. He's at the end of his rope. New reg set that speaks more to Lewis's driving style. Charles is clearly not vibing with this new generation of car. And it's Lewis. And he knows how to meet the moment. And he has championship DNA. And he has championship experience. And I think
he's consistent.
He's consistent, and he's shown Charles. He's talked about it multiple times about Lewis's the way that he conducts himself, his work ethic, how he I think where he's experiencing a whole new thing here. Now, listen, that doesn't mean Charles is not a great driver. That doesn't mean Charles will not be a number 1 at Ferrari again. They clearly see the long-term future in him. He's going to be there until 2065. But I think while Lewis is there and while Lewis is motivated, he's the number one driver on that team. Full gas. And it pains me to say it because I love Charles. But proof in the pudding. Full gas.
F1 should have relegation.
Gas. But where to? That is the problem. Where you want to relegate. If you've got an F1 and you need to relegate, where you go F2, the budget in F2 is, I mean, you cannot do it. It's not doable. Otherwise, it will be there. But I think it should be there. But because then it keeps you. Or there needs to be a minimum standard as well at some stage.
Well, it's the 107% rule, which I wanted to talk to you about that. Do we need to reconsider that? Is that too low a standard? Because I think Aston Martin Cadillac are beating the 107% rule, but they're still making a mockery of the sport. And they're causing safety cars and red flags, and they're ruining races.
Blue flags, yeah.
Blue flags, right. So do we need to reconsider the... Yeah, of course, when you had like Caterham and Marussia and those teams.
It was before that, Matt, when that came out. But it were different times, and you're right. I mean, now it's much more competitive. And that was when you had Andrea Morda, you remember them people and all that stuff. Andrea Morda, what were they called? ATS, and things like Simtech, people like this, which really, I mean, they were not F1 fit. So they put the 107 rule in, and at some stage it was discussed to take that rule out because everybody was very close. But again, we go away from it in the moment.
So what would the standard be for you? And what would the standard be for you to just knock them? So you didn't qualify for the race today.
But then again, Formula One needs the teams. I don't know. At some stage, you would need to take money away because. And give it to the other people, which actually contribute to the show.
Right.
And that's the only penalty you can give, you know. You are not a contributor. So, I mean, obviously there is already, if you're last, you get less money, that is all there. But maybe the gaps need to be bigger. Because at some stage, just somebody comes in, the licenses are worth billions of dollars now. So, I mean, if somebody strategically could misuse this, you know, like in NASCAR, they had start and park. You just show up, get your money, and do nothing. And that's not good for the sport. Obviously, I'm not saying that the people which are there now doing this, I think they would love to be better, but they don't know how to do it, you know.
But Aston's like not even bringing upgrades. They're just showing up, and it's like they're just trying to get through it until, I don't know.
Realistically, what are they what's the 5-year plan here? If you're Cadillac and Aston, like, I know that there's all this talk about the engines simplifying, maybe going back to V8s. You know, some of the manufacturers seem to be somewhat on board. A lot of them don't. But, you know, this whole we haven't been talking about the reg set, thank God, for the last few races, but there is this looming change coming down the pipeline. Are they kind of just waiting for that and just gritting and bearing it for these next couple of years? Or like what realistic, how high are their ceilings, or are they kind of like bumping up against it?
No, I think Aston, I mean, what you cannot say that Aston doesn't, or Lawrence Stroll, he puts his hand where
the
his
money
mouth
and resources.
is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He just like how he does it is not successful. I mean, you can see it. Cadillac, I think they put a lot of money into it, and I don't know how much they put in the car because it's not visible. But in the rest, I mean, they had a mega motorhome in Monte Carlo, but the motorhome doesn't contribute to the show on the racetrack, you know. So I don't think with the teams in the moment it's a money issue. You know, the two last ones. But it's a difficult question. How can you make them better? You know, that they are actually a contributor to the show. I mean, they are a contributor to the show, but a negative one in the moment. So, and nobody wants that. So I think Aston Martin is not too far off. They will come out of where they are. There's a lot is there. I don't know how Cadillac will be doing. But, back to our gas or brake. It would be nice if there would be something like a relegation, because that would keep people awake at night and make them work harder. But it's just not doable. I think practically you cannot do it.
Yeah, it's too much money.
Yeah.
It's
Stake,
the
yeah.
gap between, what you spend in a Formula 1 season versus what you spend in a Formula 2. I mean, what is the budget for a Formula 2 team?
I think it will be around 4 or 5 million.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The car
But-
itself
but-
costs, 5x that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Crazy. Matt, gas break.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going
Put
gas
Alonso
too,
in
even though
F2.
Hell yeah. All right, that does it for gas or break. We've got Silverstone. Guenther's flying there tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about Silverstone. What are some defining characteristics? What can we look forward to and expect come this 4th of July weekend?
I think Silverstone is one of his racetracks. A good car will show, a little bit like Barcelona. We will see. There's nothing special to it. It's fast corners. Aero. If your car works, it will be good there. So, and what always is good in Silverstone, the crowd. The people there, they love it, and the weather will be good this year. I was told. That's where I'm going. So.
Yes, if we would no rain in
rain. No, in the moment. So it's
Okay.
Silverstone.
Yeah, it's like-
You never know.
right.
In the moment, there's no
You
rain.
never know. Okay, so let's do a couple different predictions. Let's predict a Rockstar and a Wanker for Silverstone. Who do you think is going to be Rockstar?
Mercedes and George.
Oh wow, you think?
Yeah, because he has to do it in Silverstone. If he wants to keep on putting the pressure onto Kimi, he needs to perform, and that's what he will be doing.
Okay.
And he normally is pretty good there as well.
All
Okay,
5
who
of
do you
his
think
fans
will-
will be there. So he's got to have to.
The Brussels
Yeah, for
sprouts.
sure.
Because all the other 500,000 will be Lewis fans, huh?
Right.
So yeah.
Or
Yeah,
and
Lando fan.
Lando's got
Yeah,
his own
Lando fan.
stands there. Lando's got his
Yeah,
own
yeah.
stands. Matt, who do you think is going to be Rockstar for Silverstone?
Max Verstappen.
Wow.
His love affair continues now.
And then
who I think is
Vanker-
gonna-
and
you
the
know-
Vanker will be Guenther because I'll have proven him wrong.
I think that Sir Lewis Hamilton is going to be the rock star for Silverstone. Guenther, who do you think is going to be Wanker for Silverstone?
That's actually more difficult to predict. I think the Cadillac will be again a good candidate for it because it's a difficult racetrack, So, and maybe they are not prepared for the challenges there. You never know if the FIA throws in something because they are pretty good they're good candidates as well normally. They haven't done a lot of them lately. Well, it wasn't this long ago, Monte Carlo, to be honest, so.
And this last week with the double wave yellow, but
Yeah, exactly.
there's- So yeah, always a strong candidate. Matt
Yeah.
Wanker. You said Guenther. You already said Guenther.
I say Guenther.
And I think it's going to be Aston Martin. They've got their facility literally on the premises, but I think it's going to be a tough week for
It's going to
the
be a
British.
short trip for the car that they're going to have to
Short
bring
trip
back.
for the car, exactly. All right, and then your podium. What's your podium, Guenther? What's your podium for Silverstone?
First, I want to do the classification, please.
Right now, the standings are Guenther, you have 26. Matt, you have 20. And I have 17 because I said that George was going to win the last race. And I said that Kimi was going to get third. I got those both in the right place. So I, much like Max Verstappen and much like Lewis Hamilton, am just chipping away at that lead, Guenther. And I'm coming for that ace. All right. Who do you think's winning?
George.
And what's the rest of your podium?
George, Kimi, Lewis.
I'm going Max Verstappen.
Jesus
Kimi.
Christ, I mean.
Kimi. George.
Wow. I am going Lewis Hamilton, then George Russell, and then Max Verstappen. That's my podium, and I like it. We'll see what happens in Silverstone. That does it for us, Vankahs. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye,
Vankahs.
Vankahs.